I took the Steam Deck overseas. How was the experience, and how was vacation? I don't think this really needs reiteration, but I don't really go overseas to play video games. I could have just stayed at home and played video games. I will say though, bringing video games overseas was a good idea. Before we get started though, let's talk about what I brought with me. When it comes to my tech, I didn't really bring all that much. I brought my phone, my Steam Deck, a USB Type-C fast charger, my Ico Asgards, my Sony WF-1000XM3s. I also brought one of my Roland Charge InSquare XLs, paired with a generic battery bank. All of this technology was transported in my Steam Deck carrying case by Tomtoc, the sponsor of this video. Ever since I received their Arcos case, I've just been using it non-stop as my default carrying case. This is definitely my favorite Steam Deck carrying case, and it's got enough space for all of my electronics. You also get a 2-year warranty by registering your product's serial number on their website. Links to these bags are in the description down below. So without further ado, let's talk about the overseas experience. So I just want to say, before you pack up your Steam Deck, you should go ahead and download all of those updates, and then put it in offline mode. Now here's the big question. What's the difference between just turning your Wi-Fi off and going in offline mode? Sometimes Steam will try to connect online, but it doesn't detect any Wi-Fi signal, so it just fails. Whereas in offline mode, Steam doesn't even try. Personally, it's a safer bet for playing games offline anyways. More often than not, there's no real reason to take the Steam Deck off of offline mode. That's it, I can think of only one good reason. Games with Denuvo. If you're going overseas for like over a month, and you want to keep playing a game with Denuvo, you will have to connect to the internet at some point. Other than that though, you're set. Here's a little bonus tip for you as well. If someone's family shared their library on your Steam Deck and they've authorized your Steam Deck, you can still play those family shared games in offline mode. Aside from games that cannot be explicitly family shared, I don't believe there's any real limitation. So, without further ado, let's talk about my experience on an airplane. Thankfully, I was on an airplane that had universal power sockets for every seat. I was able to use my Steam Deck to play probably like a good 40% of the time. The rest of the time was spent eating and sleeping and whatnot. As for the games I primarily played, I played a ton of Starbound, but not just regular old vanilla Starbound. I played Starbound with like a billion different mods. And yes, my Steam Deck could handle it. I also played a ton of Dungeon Drafters. I really wish I could have recorded myself playing more video games, but I didn't bring a capture card. Or a laptop, really. Now, this is the part where the gaming ends and I talk more about, well, my trip to Italy. We arrived, safe and sound. Rome was as vibrant and beautiful as they said it was. That said, I saw a ton of graffiti in Rome and I really wasn't expecting it. Like, I probably should have expected it given that Rome is a big metropolitan city area. But yeah, I don't really know why, but I wasn't expecting to see all that much. In English too, I might add. That said, I didn't see any graffiti on the basilicas or historical sites. Also worth mentioning is that walking downtown, I literally saw a pizza joint or a gelato joint every block. Literally every block. It's a pizza eater's dream. We didn't really look at anything particularly, but we had only just arrived. For dinner, we stopped by this restaurant, Il Tempio de Minerva. This actually wasn't planned out. We just saw it and it looked nice, and there were people eating, so we decided to eat there too. I'm really kicking myself for not taking a picture of this pizza that I got, or even recording video of it, so here's some stock footage. They gave me a whole pizza, which I'm gonna be honest, I was kind of nervous because I've never eaten a whole pizza before. Like, I love pizza, but I can only really eat 2 to 3 slices of American pizza. But Italian pizzas, they taste lighter, crispier, fresher, and I like the crust better too. Like, I've always known American pizza was a far cry from Italian pizza, but I just never realized the staggering difference between the two. It's not to say that I'll never eat American pizza ever again. I still love my grease pile pizzas, but this is a different experience and you have to try it. At least once. So yeah, I crushed that pizza by myself. We spent like 3 days in Rome. We visited the Vatican, which includes St. Peter's and the Sistine Chapel. We visited the Colosseum. We visited the Pantheon. We also entered a sort of farmer's market to have some food as well. And we got gelato, like a lot of gelato. As for the food we ate, well, I had pizza, and then I had carbonara. And for our final night in Rome, we went to Il Trapezzino, and it was delicious. It's like a sort of pizza pocket, if you will. They've also got one in New York, but it's also like double the price. Rome was an exciting adventure. It's a big metropolitan city in a foreign country, but the city of Rome never really let go of all of its heritage. You can tell there's older architecture just about everywhere, and it's beautiful. I kind of like the older architecture. But of course, after the 3rd day, we went to a different city altogether. Next up was the city of Florence, the birthplace of Ezio Auditore di Firenze. Florence is a beautiful city, and it's a much smaller one too, and it's significantly more crowded. There's a reason why I chose not to drive on this trip at all, and it's because of these really narrow roads that seem to be within alleyways. I don't know how I could ever manage driving in Florence. Also of note is that I wasn't expecting as many tourists as I was in Florence. Like, I expected it in Rome, given that Rome was the big city, but I was really expecting to be like one of the few Asians in a sea of Italian people. But there were a lot of tourists there. On the first day, we went to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa, as well as, you know, the city of Pisa. And guess what I had there? Pizza. Pizza in front of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Brilliant. You know why the Leaning Tower of Pisa leans? It's because the entire base of it is leaning as well. For dinner that night, I had some carbonara, and it was delicious. On the second and third day, we kind of just visited Florence. We went downtown. We got to see St. Mary's. We had a sandwich from one of the most famous Florentine sandwich shops around, All'Antico Vinaio. We also visited some markets as well. Florence was a blast. Of course, we left on the third day to go to our final destination, Venice. Venice is the real-world version of a water level, unlike any other level in a video game. Venice is the most unique city in the world. Everything is done by boats. There are no cars here. And I get the hype behind Venice. Venice is an amazing city to visit. I love the old architecture here. I love the atmosphere here. I love how relatively cool Venice is compared to, say, the rest of the world. And in no small part thanks to the fact that we're surrounded by water. During our time here in Venice, we went on a gondola. And I just want to say, it was a pretty cool experience, but I want to rant about one thing. I thought they were supposed to serenade us. I thought they were supposed to sing a song. But I guess that's just in movies only, right? That said, we had some pretty good food in Italy. One person at our party ordered the spaghetti nero. Yes, the one from JoJo. But this one had cuttlefish ink instead of squid ink. I had a bite of it and it was pretty good. The ink makes the noodles taste substantially different. Probably the crowning achievement though was a dish I got during my final day of Italy. My last supper, if you will, gnocchi with duck ragu. It tasted delicious, especially the duck ragu. I can't remember the name of the place we went to, but I'm gonna learn how to make duck ragu at home. And of course, on the final day, we packed up everything, we left, and there we embarked on our journey back home. The flight back was even longer, but I was prepared with my Steam Deck. What did I play on my Steam Deck? The same games I played before. So, what are some takeaways with taking your Steam Deck internationally? Well, first and foremost, don't expect to be playing video games all the time, especially on vacation. Most of my game time was spent at night. Number 2, I had no issue with staying offline the entire time. I spent a good week and a half in Italy, and I was offline the entire time. Could I have connected to Wi-Fi? I could have, and I certainly did on my phone, but it wasn't necessary for my Steam Deck. Another main takeaway is that there seems to be no issues with family sharing while offline. I have 2 accounts, my primary Steam account and one I use for press. I family share that second account with my first account. I was able to access all of the games just fine. And finally, the Steam Deck is region free. You could buy a Steam Deck overseas and then bring it back home, and there'd be no issues whatsoever. The only issue, of course, is actually buying the Steam Deck to begin with. So is the Steam Deck a good travel companion? Yes, internationally as well. My older brother also brought his Steam Deck as well, and he had no issues whatsoever. If you like this video, be sure to press the thumbs up button and spread the good gospel of high-tech lowlife. And if you want to see more high-tech lowlife, be sure to subscribe and press the bell icon for notifications. And for you enlightened individuals, be sure to join my Discord server. And if you wish to support high-tech lowlife, be sure to check out our Patreon page. Links in the description down below.